SuperTalk Mississippi media production.
Oh, yeah.
Good morning, Mississippi.
Everything gonna be all right this morning.
Mornings with Richard Cross.
Oh, yeah.
Here on SuperTalk Mississippi.
Woo! Now, when I was a young boy, at the age of 5, my mother said I was gonna be the greatest man alive. But now I'm a man.
Good Friday morning, the 30th of January, 2026. Welcome to Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk Mississippi. Alongside Lance Tolbert, I'm Richard. Thanks so much for joining us. Thanks for being part of the conversation. We'd love to hear from you. Love to see what you've got going this morning. You can do that with pictures on the C Spire text line. You can send us a message, join in, jump into the conversation. The number is 601-879-4395. 601-879-4395. For the best in wireless, the best in fiber to the home internet, and for the best in business IT services. Team up, partner up with C Spire. cspire.com, C-Spire, customer inspired. Lance, it's a little odd being with you on a Friday morning.
I know.
What's up, buddy?
Well, first of all, you've been breaking in the old new digs at the studio in Oxford.
Yeah.
And you're here on a Friday, so something must have happened in Oxford for all this to have taken place.
Yeah, I think a few somethings have happened throughout the last week. Man, what a week it has been.
Well, and I'll put it into perspective. When I asked you how the power was, how everything was going, if progress was being made, you're like, oh, yeah, man, it'll just be a couple more days. And, that's just perspective.
That's a great point. If you randomly ask me in June, hey, Richard, how's it going? Man, our power's out. Really? How long has it been? Gosh, man, it's been 2 days. Like, we got to get some power back on. And you ask me now, and I'm like, a couple more days ought to be good.
Be all right.
I think we
got this.
If we get into the early part of next week and still have no power, then probably something has gone wrong. I was told yesterday, nobody cares about my power particularly. I mean, a lot of people have got power back. A lot of people. And kudos to the Oxford Utility Company, for the Northeast Power Electric Company, for the boys from Chattanooga who were working yesterday in my neighborhood. Man, that stretch from Jackson Avenue kind of down the hill toward Pat Lamar Park, I mean, it was gnarly through there. Poles snapped, lines down, lines across the road, trees all over the place. And the folks that live along that stretch last night got power back. And the group text messages and the group me's and all the stuff that have been going around, there were some happy folks along that road.
I can only imagine. I can only compare it to back when Katrina, when power was out for quite a while, and our street just did not get it back on. It took another 5 or 6 days, but everybody else around was, and it happened to be a technical issue. And man, when it came back on, that was just relief. It was 90-something degrees and all. It was just warm.
Oh man,
yeah, it was just sticky and nasty. And after about a week of that. But again, nothing to brag about. It was just, I know how you feel when you see somebody's lights come on. It's like, oh, yeah, I can remember that like it was yesterday.
Yeah. And I'm sure there's some people that they see that with why theirs and not mine. I'm next door. Or I'm a street over. Or I'm a neighborhood over. I think because we've had kind of a soft landing spot with Jane's parents, not too far away from our house. I'm genuinely happy for the people that have gotten their power back. I especially hope I think every neighborhood has gone through this, but the whole neighbors helping neighbors thing is a real thing. And if you get to a place where you realize that there's somebody who has kind of fallen through the cracks and maybe hasn't gotten the help that they've needed, you feel awful about it, but then you are super happy for them when the power comes back on and they can start to kind of get back into their routine. I can't emphasize enough how important that is. Wherever you are in North Mississippi, if you're still dealing with a situation where you don't have power and your neighbors don't have power, if you've got somebody that moves a little bit slower, maybe a little bit older, please, please, please check on them. Even if it's just a text message or a phone call, or if it's a knock on the door, be like, hey, don't need anything, just want to make sure you are good, anything we can do for you. I think it means a lot to them, and you might find somebody that actually really, really does need some help. Weather's going to be okay today for most of the state during the day, but I hope you didn't put the heavy coats that maybe you wore last weekend away, or at least store them too far away. Corinth, you got cloudy skies today. A few flurries or snow shower possible. High of 39, winds out of the north at 10 to 15 miles per hour today. Madison, cloudy for you. Slight chance of a rain shower with a high of 47, winds out of the north and northwest. Brookhaven, cloudy skies, slight chance of a rain shower, 50 degrees. Biloxi, going to be warm enough, 59 for you today. Cloudy skies, again, slight chance of a rain shower with those persistent winds out of the north and northwest, 10 to 15 miles per hour. But, Lance, tonight is the night that next big cold front blows in. A lot of parts of the state of Mississippi under an extreme cold warning. North Mississippi going to get down to 13 tonight, and highs that will not reach over freezing tomorrow.
Statewide hard freeze, it looks like it's going to be. We had a little mist this morning here in central Mississippi. It was supposed to happen around 2 a.m. If you're out riding, getting to work, or getting ready, the roads are a little slick. There's no ice or anything to worry about, but it did rain a little bit last night, so just be careful out there.
There you go. Shaq Bully in Biloxi says, hey, don't forget about your local electrical contractors responsible for repairing your electrical services so that they may accept power. That's a great point. Because the power being on at the road and the power going from the road to your house, that's one thing. But if, I don't know, like my across-the-street neighbor, you have a tree that yanked the power line and the service box off the side of your house.
I've seen that happen. I was in a house when it has. That's rough.
Ripped off the weatherhead, tore out some wires. Then you had to get somebody to get that ready. So, yeah. Thanks to thank everybody, because everybody's pitched in on this. Like my air conditioning man sent a guy over the other day, and he helped me get the generator tied to the fan on our heating unit so that it would go. And so our house went from, 45 degrees on the inside to low 60s. I could probably push it up higher than that, but just knocking the edge off a little bit. Man, there are a lot of people done a lot of good. Franklin Delano Roosevelt was born on this day in 1882, the 32nd president of the United States. He is the first and the only president who has or will serve for 12 years in office. He was a Democrat, was in office as president from 1933 until 1945. Douglas Engelbart was born in 1925. Who, you might say? He's a computer scientist known for his pioneering work on interactive computing. He is most famous for inventing the mouse, a device that revolutionized personal computing and dramatically altered how we interact with computers today. 1968, he had the mother of all demos. During the event, he demonstrated the functionality of the computer mouse and other inventions for the very first time. One of the great actors of all time, born on this day in 1930, Gene Hackman. Bonnie and Clyde, The Conversation, The French Connection, The Birdcage, The Firm.
Yeah, you can just keep going, too, man.
And going and going and going.
You know, he's a U.S. Marine, man, left home at age 16 to join up. He lied about his age, was a radio field operator. Great guy, one of my favorite actors of all time, man. Superman. Yeah. I love him in Superman, too.
You like all actors with mustaches?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, especially you can pull it off.
Yeah.
He can go skinned lip or mustache. It's like Selleck doesn't look right without the stash or certain people. But, yeah, Gene's just an all-around great actor.
He's good. 1941, that's when Dick Cheney was born, the Republican politician, vice president for 8 years under George W. Bush. Also served as the Secretary of Defense under George Bush Sr., 1989 to 1993. I say Senior, H.W. Bush. Spent 3 years in Congress, originally born in Lincoln, Nebraska. Dick Cheney, no longer with us, died in 2025. And so making any jokes about Dick Cheney has a gun seem less appropriate now than they might have been previously. Paul Alexander, born in 1946, polio survivor known as Polio Paul, lived for decades in an iron lung after contracting the disease at age 6. He was born in Dallas. I don't know that that's any way to live, but good for him. Yeah, Phil Collins celebrating today as well.
From the Venable Glass.
Want to know what's happening in Mississippi politics?
Yes.
You're in the right place. Mornings with Richard Cross on Super Talk, Mississippi.
Mornings with Richard Cross on this Friday, the 30th of January. Thanks for joining the conversation. Glad to be with you. We have got a big lineup of guests this morning. We'll get started in the 7 o'clock hour. And looking forward to that. We'll talk with one of our friends at the National Weather Service. Also in the 7 hour, Public Service Commissioner Chris Brown will join us. Scott Simmons from MEMA will be along in the 8 o'clock hour. And we have an interview with one of the folks at Samaritan's Purse. Samaritan's Purse setting up a North Mississippi operations center and headquarters in Oxford. And, I mean, Lance, you call it reinforcements. You can call it the cavalry. I don't care what you call it. When Samaritan's Purse comes in a disaster relief operation, they don't kind of come in. I mean, it is a major deal. They're not the only organization that is on its way to North Mississippi to really jump in and bring a big-time relief team. The supplies, the tools, and the people are on the way.
Well, it's a matter of patience, too, you know, like your attitude earlier. You know, people are coming, the help's on its way,
yeah.
Progress is being made, and just hopefully this little storm that's coming through won't add any complexities to any of that.
Yeah, no, exactly, and it's really easy to say, well, you know, we kind of could have used them 3 days ago. We've almost got the power back now. It's easy to say that, but then you think about how long some of the recovery is going to be, the debris removal. There are people that are still kind of stuck inside, lots and lots and lots of work to be done. And then, I guess to my point, when Samaritan's Purse sends a big team in, it's not, oh, these are a few volunteers that are going to hand out some meals. It is a major operation, and it takes a few days, honestly, to coordinate it on the front end, because it's a hit the ground running thing, too. They don't land and, you know, okay, this is where we're going to set up tents, and this is where people are going to sleep, and this is where we're going to feed them. Let's take a day or two to get everything laid out. Then we'll put together our volunteer. No, they come in and they start work first thing the next morning. That's like exactly the way it's going to happen.
Basically turnkey. They're ready.
Yes.
Yeah, they're ready to go.
So we'll learn more about that in the 8 o'clock hour as well. You played a couple of his songs. Phil Collins, born on this day, 1951. He's got a British Oscar, a Grammy, a Novello. And with Genesis, so good. Invisible Touch, I Can't Dance.
Yeah, tough to beat. I'm curious what our listeners think. What is your favorite Phil Collins song out there? There's so many good ones.
There's only one answer, isn't there?
I don't know, man.
I can feel it coming in the air tonight.
I've always loved that one, but Susu Studio, because I never knew what it meant. I never knew what Susu Studio meant, so I always liked that one. Invisible Touch was amazing.
Yeah. Payne Stewart was born on this day in 1957. Tragic death in a plane crash in 1999. Won the U.S. Open 2 times in 91 and 98. Also the 1989 PGA Championship. He is probably most famous for his attire. That's a little unfair to what he did on the golf course, but when you dress the way Payne Stewart did, that's going to be the way that you are remembered, wearing those +4s, or the knickers, as many people would describe them. The actor Christian Bale, 51 today. He was born in 1974. Batman Begins, American Psycho, The Machinist.
Empire Rising, what was it, Empire in the Sun? It was his first early, when he was a kid. Great movie, too.
Okay.
World War II Japanese prison camp, type deal.
Yeah.
Good one.
All right, things that happened on this day, 30th of January in 1698. It's been a minute. The English pirate William Kidd takes his greatest prize as he captured the Indian merchant ship Kudo Merchant, upsetting English trade and causing a global manhunt. I would think pre-1700, the open sea would be about as good a place to try and hide as anywhere.
Yeah, I was going to say, I doubt that they could find him. Seems like a very difficult endeavor, a global manhunt for a pirate.
Yeah. Most of us have some sort of a personal library, the books that you have collected through the years. Most of us don't have a library nearly as significant as was Thomas Jefferson's in 1815. So much so that when the United States Library of Congress burned, it was reestablished with Thomas Jefferson's 6,500 volumes to begin the new Library of Congress. In 1835, Richard Lawrence misfired, trying to kill Andrew Jackson, then the president, in what is the first recorded attempted assassination of a sitting United States president. 1873, Jules Verne is published by Pierre-Jules Hetzel in France, the book Around the World in 80 Days. 1956, that's when Elvis Presley recorded his cover of Carl Perkins' song Blue Suede Shoes. You can kind of play the game from time to time. Who did it better? Elvis Blue Suede Shoes, kind of hard to beat.
Oh, yeah, Elvis, of course.
Yeah. Not very often that the cover is better than the original. In this case, it did. Was. We've talked about this before, Eddie. Lance, I would contend that the greatest cover of all time is Whitney Houston singing "I Will Always Love You," Dolly Parton's hit. What about Fast Car?
Who wrote Fast Car and who originally performed it? I couldn't tell you, but I know Tracy Chapman. Right. And I mean that.
Yeah. I mean,
how do you?
I think of that as Tracy Chapman's song.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't even know anyone else performed it or wrote it, and I know a little about music, but I mean, she owns it.
She absolutely did. I'm just telling you, man. Luke Combs' cover of that 2 years ago was phenomenal.
I think it was very good. It's a little different. I like it.
It is.
Yeah.
It absolutely is.
And I guess it was my era when she sang that song, when it came out, and man, alive.
Oh, yeah. I'm with you.
Just so powerful. It was just played so much.
Yeah.
I love Luke Combs, though. So, I mean, if you can cover a Tracy Chapman song and do a great job, come on, dog.
That's right. A couple of others. 1965 state funeral for Winston Churchill at St. Paul's Cathedral in London. At the time, it was the world's largest ever state funeral. January 30th, 1971. This is the day that UCLA began its record 88-game winning streak. 1975, Erno Rubik applied for a patent for his magic cube invention, later to become known as the Rubik's Cube. 1978, Mutual Broadcasting Network begins airing the late-night Larry King Show on radio, based out of Miami, Florida. The Age of Intelligent Machines in 1992, Ray Kurzweil published his first book of the aforementioned title, The Age of Intelligent Machines. It was on artificial intelligence, predicting the popularity of the internet. Oh, Ray, if you could have just captured some of what you said was coming in terms of inventions. And finally, Super Bowl 34, one of the all-time greats. 2000, it was played in the Georgia Dome in Atlanta. The greatest show on turf. The St. Louis Rams beat Steve McNair's Tennessee Titans 23-16. Kurt Warner was the MVP. Steve McNair needed just 6 more inches as he stretched the ball toward the goal line. Got news headlines and some sports updates for you as well. But as we go to break, mention the passing of a business legend in Mississippi. Howard Industries founder Billy Howard Sr. passed away at the age of 99, the company announced on Wednesday. He was born in Louisville in 1927, later became a star student athlete at Mississippi State, where he lettered in a trio of sports and earned an electrical engineering degree. He is an incredible businessman, one of the great success stories in Mississippi. Served as a first lieutenant in the United States Air Force during the Korean War. Left his post at General Electric in 1968 to start his own company, Howard Industries, in Laurel. To the entire Howard family, we offer our condolences and celebrate a life well lived.
From theseabrook.com.
Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk, Mississippi.
Welcome to the show.
Pleasure being with you. It is Friday morning, January 30th, and this is Mornings with Richard Cross, presented by Community Bank. Online at communitybank.net, rooted in our community. Lafayette County reported its first weather-related fatality yesterday morning. According to the Lafayette County Emergency Management Agency, paramedics responded on Wednesday to a call involving an individual who had fallen while trying to refill a generator with gas. The individual was airlifted to Regional 1 Health in Memphis for treatment, but succumbed to their injuries on Thursday morning. The name at this point of the deceased has not been released out of respect for the family, according to the Lafayette County Emergency Management Agency. Statewide, Governor Tate Reeves provided an update on damage and response efforts and also noted that the death toll from Winter Storm Fern is now up to 14. His office has confirmed weather-related fatalities in Adams, Alcorn, Hines, Jefferson, Lafayette, LaFleur, Panola, Tate, Tippah, Tishomingo, and Warren counties. Mississippi Insurance Department has confirmed 3 fire-related deaths in Adams, Jefferson, and Lincoln counties, in which residents were using space heaters and gas stoves to stay warm. Not entirely clear if that number is reflected in the number of deaths reported by the governor. couple of national stories for you. Minnesota is now dealing with Tom Homan running things. Czar Tom Homan included the caveat that there suggested that there could be a drawdown of ICE agents in Minnesota, but included the caveat that a reduction of force would only come after cooperation from state officials. Homan doubled down on the need for local jails to alert ICE of people in their custody who can be removed from the country. Homan said transferring immigrants to ICE while they are still in jail is safer for the officers and would require fewer of them to be on the streets. An appeals court says Kristi Noem's decision to end protection for Venezuelans in the United States was illegal. Secretary of Homeland Security Kristi Noem acted illegally, according to the appeals court, when she removed legal protections that allowed Venezuelans to live and work in the U.S. The decision, however, will not have any immediate practical effect after the Supreme Court in October allowed the decision to take effect pending a final decision by the justices. The FBI is searching the election offices in Georgia for information about the 2020 presidential race. Earlier this week, on Wednesday, the FBI served a search warrant at the election headquarters of Fulton County as Trump pushes the federal government to back his bogus claims that widespread fraud, by the way, that's how the Associated Press writes it, that widespread fraud cost him the re-election in 2020. Georgia Democratic Senator John Ossoff says that the president is wielding federal law enforcement as an instrument of personal power and revenge. Similar to the way that Barack Obama tried to use federal law enforcement, and Joe Biden tried to use federal law enforcement. And, whatever. It's a Trump problem. He's the only one. A little bit of a change on the schedule for the Ole Miss men's basketball team. They were scheduled to be at home tomorrow night at the Pavilion to host the 19th-ranked Vanderbilt Commodores. Instead, that game is going to be played in Nashville. Tip-off was going to be at 7:30. It is now at 5 p.m. It is still on the SEC network. Ole Miss is 3-4 in the SEC, 11-9 overall. Vanderbilt, 18-3 under second-year head coach Mark Byington. They are 5-3 in the Southeastern Conference. The story from the Ole Miss Athletics Department release said thousands in the area remain without power and water, as well as cellular and internet connectivity issues. Conditions remain hazardous with ice on roads and walkways. It's just not possible to host that game right now. So that's what you've got. Ole Miss and Vanderbilt tomorrow evening, 5 o'clock in Nashville. Rebels and Commodores were scheduled to play twice this year, and so Ole Miss will now host Vanderbilt on March 4th. Seattle's Charles Cross, or if you prefer, Mississippi State's Charles Cross, headlines the list of Mississippians that will be playing in the Super Bowl. Incoming showdown between the Seattle Seahawks and the New England Patriots, both teams that went 14-3 in the regular season, may not feature a more important player than Seattle's Charles Cross. Starting left tackle from Laurel has been trusted all season long with protecting Sam Darnold, and he's done it quite well, thank you very much. Just 2 sacks allowed by Charles Cross at that left tackle spot this year. He'll be facing a great defense in the New England Patriots. Other active roster Seattle players with Mississippi ties are Gulfport native and linebacker Derek Hall, Clinton native and running back Cam Akers, and former Ole Miss defensive end Jared Ivey. Hall's got 11 tackles this year. Akers has not had a carry since being picked up back in November. Limited playing time this year for Jared Ivey. New England has one active roster player from Mississippi. That's Vicksburg native and former Ole Miss center Ben Brown. He is the backup center. A couple of practice squad players for New England tied to Ole Miss. Otis Reese, John Saunders Jr., A.J. Finley, all part of the practice squad or the backups. I'm sorry. I may have mixed up a couple of those. Let's see here. Jami Sharif and Chris Paul Jr. are on the practice squad for Seattle. A.J. Finley on the injured reserve. For Ole Miss, for New England, Otis Reese, John Saunders Jr., and Miles Battle, all on the practice squad. Sorry, I got mixed up there on that. Super Bowl, speaking of, a little over a week away. A record $1.75 billion is expected to be bet on the Super Bowl. That is a nearly 27% year-over-year increase, according to the American Gaming Association. The projected figure obviously would be a record, includes only wagers with legal sports books, which operate in 39 states and the District of Columbia. We have legal sports books in Mississippi, but only if they are made of brick and mortar. There is no scenario where you, as a free-thinking, independent resident of the great state of Mississippi, may sit in your home, or may sit in a sports bar, or may sit at a friend's house and place a wager from your phone. You are not responsible enough to take that on. And the tax revenue, we are told, is not significant enough that we should collect it. So, you may go to a sports book that is tied to a casino. You may do that. And you may place a bet. And you may be part of that $1.76 billion. But if you want to do it outside of and by the way, that's the word we use, brick and mortar. I don't know if any of them are made of stucco or not, but we only have brick and mortar casinos in Mississippi. Brick and mortar sports books. If you want to place a bet outside of there, you cannot do it. You are not responsible enough to handle that opportunity, and we do not need the money associated with the taxes. Don't need it. Not significant enough to collect it. Would only be a portion of what it would have been before the prediction markets became on board, so we don't need that money in Mississippi. Nothing that we could be doing with that, and you're not responsible enough to handle it. Too many problems associated with it. Got it? Got it. And if you have an illegal sports person, if you got a guy, I guess you could go that way. Kind of taking a risk there as well, though. I'm sorry, I was on that soapbox for too long, Lance.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah. Hoops in the SEC this weekend, starting at noon tomorrow. LSU's at South Carolina. Texas A&M is at Georgia. Texas travels to Norman to take on Oklahoma, who's lost 7 in a row. Mississippi State in Columbia to take on the Missouri Tigers. Ole Miss at Vandy. And Kentucky goes to Arkansas. Going to be a big one in Fayetteville. The nightcap, Auburn at Tennessee. That one should be good in Knoxville. Your sports update is brought to you by Pearl River Resort. That does have one of those brick-and-mortar sports books, the sports book at Timeout Lounge. Pearl River Resort, your home for family fun, casino thrills, and live entertainment. We're back with you after this. Mornings with Richard Cross, Super Talk, Mississippi.
Now, what's happening across your state? Mornings with Richard Cross on Super Talk, Mississippi.
Mornings with Richard Cross, SuperTalk Mississippi. Love all the jokes this morning on the C Spire text line. Oh, Richard working on a Friday. I know. I make the jokes myself, if we're being honest. Sometimes. Great to be with you, though. Yeah, it's been a strange week. Appreciate Dave Hughes Monday and Tuesday filling in. And good to spend the latter part of the week with you. It was really helpful. I needed to be able to kind of focus on making sure we were all squared away in the aftermath of the winter storm. It's time right now for your Mississippi Lottery update. Online, mslottery.com, Mississippi Lottery, which, by the way, has generated about $750 million. That would be $750 million for the state of Mississippi. I'm glad we didn't decide we didn't need that money.
Yeah, good point.
Been pretty good for roads and bridges and a little bit for education.
I mean, just think about where we'd be had we not had that money, too.
Yeah, I don't know. But there were a lot of people who were against the lottery for a long time. It was going to be the downfall and the scourge on the... I got to stop. Estimated jackpot for a Powerball drawing tomorrow night, $57 million. The cash value, $25.8 million. Mega Millions, big one tonight, $303 million. The estimated jackpot, $136.7 million. Latest drawing came on Tuesday night, so that jackpot rolled over and got bigger. Got the new scratch-offs, the $2 The Three Stooges ticket, the $1 Rapid Refund ticket, the $5 Lady Luck with $100,000 top prizes, and then a new bonus promotion awarding more than $125,000 in cash prizes. Non-winning tickets can go into the lottery's second chance portal for a chance to win up to 10 large. Think you got a losing ticket, then you pop it in the portal, and they say, hey, $10,000 for you, thank you very much. And you say, well, thank you very much. That's your update from the Mississippi Lottery. Find them online at mslottery.com. Keep up with everything that is happening with the lottery, and also, of course, get your tickets at your local Mississippi Lottery retail location. I'm not much of an NBA guy. Something pretty cool happened in the NBA last night. You had a pair of rookies in Cooper Flagg and Con Knipple. Cooper Flagg plays with the Dallas Mavericks. Con Knipple plays with the Charlotte Hornets. And the tie between those two is not only are they both rookies, they were teammates in college for 1 year at Duke. And they set a record last night. They combined for 83 points, the most by a pair of rookies in a game since Tiny Archibald and Pete Maravich combined for 91 back in 1971. The 83 points was the most points scored by a pair of former teammates in their rookie year. The Hornets won the game. I don't really care about the result. I just thought that was pretty neat.
Yeah,
I mean,
cool.
can you imagine? Roommate, teammate, both of you good enough to go into the draft after just 1 year in college. Both of you top 5 picks. And then you square off in a January matchup for the first time, and you both go off.
Right.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, they were feeding off each other, too, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah.
You know how that works.
Yeah.
A little talking going on, a little fun having. Wonder if they had some kind of bet about a steak dinner or something beforehand. Man, if I score more than you, you owe me.
Yeah. Lance, you realize the Olympics is about to begin?
Yeah, it's sneaking up on us.
Milan is hosting the Milan Cortina Olympic Games. This is the 25th Winter Olympiad. So it's going to be in Italy. It's the first co-hosted Winter Games, being co-hosted by, again, Milan and Cortina. And I cannot remember an Olympics that had less discussion going into it.
There's so much going on in the world today, I guess. I don't know. Yeah,
guess.
keeping everybody sidetracked a bit.
I suppose. Friday, February 6th, so a week from today, opening ceremonies in Italy.
Yeah, I thought we were a couple more weeks out, but you're right. I mean, it's there. Yeah, it's right here.
Yeah. Friday, February 6th through Sunday, February 22nd.
I think maybe I'm just so excited that Shedeur Sanders made the AFC, NFC All-Star game that maybe I'm just not paying attention.
Yeah, I'm sure that's what it is. 7 o'clock hour is on the way. News is coming up. A lot of guests to get to. We'll check in with the National Weather Service as we have another major, bitter cold front making its way toward us. Mornings with Richard Cross, SuperTalk, Mississippi.
The views and opinions expressed by the hosts, guests, and callers on this show are not the opinions of TeleSouth Communications, its management, or advertisers.
From the White House to your hometown, this is where you find out what's happening. Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk, Mississippi.
Welcome back, 7 o'clock hour. It is Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk Mississippi, presented by Community Bank. Online at communitybank.net, rooted in our community. Alongside Lance Tolbert, I'm Richard Cross. Thanks so much for joining us. And thanks to our friends at the National Weather Service for always being available to visit. David Cox this morning, a meteorologist with the National Weather Service, joins us. David, what a week it has been. Everybody, or a lot of people in North Mississippi are in recovery mode, and there is another Arctic blast that is on the way. How are you? Good morning.
Doing well this morning.
So let's look in the rearview mirror first. There was a long-range forecast leading up to the winter storm that blasted the northern part of the state of Mississippi. There was a little shift in the models that we saw as it got closer, and yet the overall prediction model on that last storm proved to be pretty accurate. What is it about the Arctic blast that came through last week that allowed you guys to be as accurate as you were in kind of what you were predicting?
Well, there were long-range signals that we could see leading into about a week before that we were able to message probabilistically with a fairly high probability that there was a cold pattern overall. But as we led into that, there was potential that there was going to be enough moisture around and the cold combined together for some winter impacts. And so really we were just able to see that out in advance with a lot of our model guidance. Was fairly good agreement, surprisingly, over a week out. Usually within 3-4 days, some events are a little more, there's a little differences in those, but with this system, it was definitely quite a bit more agreement than usual. So that definitely helped us hone in on that this was going to be a very impactful event somewhere in the Deep South, and unfortunately was across the state of Mississippi.
Yeah, have you gotten final totals in terms of accumulation amounts, sleet, snow, freezing rain, what the National Weather Service and NOAA settled on?
Yes, across the state, there were areas that did see at least over an inch of ice. In our office covers portions of Louisiana, but also in Mississippi.
Right.
So really about 1 inch to between 1 to 1.5 inches of ice. There were other areas that saw significant amounts of sleet, even in Arkansas and Louisiana. There was some areas in Arkansas that actually saw over 4 to 7 inches of sleet. So this was a very very impressive winter storm, and unfortunately, with the amount of ice and the cold around, is definitely extremely impactful. And we're still seeing those impacts today, including all of the extensive power outages.
Yeah, and David, can you explain why, with a storm like this, some areas get sleet, some areas get freezing rain, and some areas end up with snow, like we saw as this system continued to make its way to the northeast and layer just a massive amount of snow on parts of the eastern seaboard in the northeastern United States?
Sure. So what is going on is we are looking at the temperature profile of the atmosphere, and where you're seeing more warmer air. And when we say warmer air, it may be in the 40s to 50s above the ground, but where it is sub-freezing near the ground level, you have some melting of the precipitation that is falling is originally a snowflake, and it's falling into that warm layer above the ground. Depending on how warm and how deep that is, that can either fully melt the snowflake or partially melt. And then if there is just enough cold below, it could become sleet. If there's really no melting, that then all stays snow all the way to the ground. And then if it is too much melting and it's just enough to barely refreeze, like on contact, then that becomes freezing rain. Now, there are situations where you do have it cold enough, really shallow near the ground, that can refreeze back into sleet. But that's kind of what happened. Why further east, as you got into near the Interstate 55 corridor, up Highway 25, you started to see just enough melting where there was some sporadic reports of freezing rain, but more so everywhere to the northwest of that really was the area where you had a lot more precipitation as well. The rates were higher and where the impacts were felt the worst.
David, I rarely have trouble sleeping. Like, when I put my head on the pillow, I'm out. But last Saturday night was different. I was up late, power had gone out, trying to get generators squared away, making sure, and I was still awake at 3 in the morning. And then I had kind of a first ever. We've seen the images of meteorologists who are doing TV reports, and they go crazy over thunder snow, like it's snowing, and then you see the lightning, and you hear the thunder. We got thunder freezing rain and sleet that was happening in North Mississippi. What leads to that particular phenomenon? Okay,
well, any type of convective, or when you have thunder potential, means that it's the atmosphere temperatures are dropping as you go up in height, and so that creates a little bit more unstable atmosphere. So typically, when we think of an unstable atmosphere, we think of storms, and during summertime or the spring when we get more active weather. But sometimes you can get that where it's very cold in the upper atmosphere and just slightly warmer closer to the ground, and that creates a little bit of unstableness in the atmosphere, and which can produce lightning and thunder. And so sometimes that does combine with winter precipitation, so you do see those. It's definitely much more rare down in the deep south than it is elsewhere in the United States.
That's fair. That's a great explanation, because you're sitting there and you're hearing tree limbs start to pop, and it already sounds kind of like shotgun blast off in the distance. And then all of a sudden, this massive rumble of thunder and lightning while the ice is coming down. And you just kind of throw your hands up in the air. You're like, I give up. I don't even know what we're doing here. I mean, it was wild. All right, looking ahead to this weekend, this next round of Arctic air looks like it's going to come in really fast and then get out about as quickly.
Yes, this round looks to be pretty dry and cold. This is definitely another very cold environment. The one thing I'll say about this, as this comes in tonight, we could have wind chills well into the single digits, potentially sub-zero wind chills as well across the northern half of the state, even down to possibly Interstate 20. And one of the reasons of that is that it's such a very strong cold air mass and strong high pressure that the winds will be pretty strong. I mean, we could actually have gusts into tomorrow of 30 to 40 miles per hour. So in addition to it being very cold, that's going to be a problem for all the ongoing power restoration efforts. Because a lot of the trees and tree limbs are weakened from the winter storm this past weekend. So that's really one of the big things we're concerned with across the area in the Northwest Delta into central Mississippi up Interstate 55, including areas from like Greenwood, Oxford, up to South Haven along the Mississippi River. Those could have more problems. So just as we're getting out of this impacts of the winter storm, this next system could cause more problems for us.
Yeah, given the amount of freezing rain in much of North Mississippi and the number of trees and tree limbs that were down, is that the one break that we caught last weekend with that system, was that there was not a lot of wind with it, that it was just kind of still after it all settled in, and that allowed the tree branches mostly fell straight down as opposed to falling over?
That's right. Because there wasn't as much wind with that, we didn't have even more extensive power outages than we did see, which was extensive in its own regard. But this is only because the trees and vegetation are already vulnerable. That's going to make it more of a problem. So it could you could have your power has come back on and then have additional problems with that. So hopefully not, and hopefully things will continue to improve. But for anyone that's in these areas, regardless if you have power or not, or you lose power again, this is going to be a problem to stay warm, because this is our highs will struggle to reach even hard freeze criteria, really 28 degrees across a good portion of the state of Mississippi. So like we always mention, to definitely need to drip your pipes, because of the potential for pipe burst and issues with that as well. And for anyone using generator safety, we've seen there have unfortunately been injuries and such with generators being improperly used to stay warm during this. So definitely take precautions there.
David, thanks so much for your time this morning. Always appreciate all of you at the National Weather Service.
Yes, sir. Yeah, you too.
David Cox, meteorologist with the National Weather Service and NOAA. Pretty comprehensive report there, reminding you at the end to be careful and try to stay warm this weekend. We're back with you after this. Mornings with Richard Cross, Super Talk, Mississippi.
From the Venable Start your day right. Mornings with Richard Cross on Super Talk, Mississippi.
Sweet Jane, oh, sweet Jane, waiting for Jimmy down in the alley, waiting there for him to come back home, waiting down on the corner, thinking ways to get
Back with you. It is Mornings with Richard Cross, Super Talk, Mississippi. Thanks for joining us. Appreciate you being with us every day. The C Spire text line is open, 601-879-4395. The 7 o'clock hour of Mornings every day is brought to you by MWG Employer Services. Running a business is tough, and if you're struggling with HR, benefits, and payroll, you're not alone. That's where MWG Employer Services comes in. They can provide a full range of employer services plus a custom plan that fits you. Call them today, 601-206-7966, or go to mwgemployerservices.com. If we rewind to Sunday afternoon, there was some debate because of the conditions and the power situation. We had kind of an internal text thread that was going. Will East and Alex Payton and some of our other our bosses. Lance was on there. And Lance just thought he was going to be so funny. He's like, well, Richard won't have trouble getting wherever he needs to go. Not with a Ford F-150 from Belk Ford. Brother, I'm here to tell you. I am here to tell you that Ford F-150 from Belk Ford, to say that it performed admirably in the ice and the snow, the frozen rain, the rough conditions, the towing when needed, the hauling of firewood and chainsaws and everything. Lance, to say it performed admirably would be the understatement of all understatements.
I figured you'd be putting some use to the fleet of F-150s.
Spectacular. And it came from my friends at Belk Ford and Oxford Toyota. They're located on Highway 6 West in Oxford. They happen to have a nice selection of Ford F-150s on the lot, but not just that. They've got F-250s in both gas burner and the Super Duty diesel. Tell you what else they've got. They've got a bunch of Ford Rangers. The newly redesigned Ford Ranger and Ford Ranger Raptor edition. Really, really sharp. Good financing rates, good people. That's the biggest reason that I shop with Belk Ford, that we partner with Belk Ford, because they're outstanding people. They're going to listen to you. They're not going to be pushy. They're going to get you into the vehicle that you want and that you can afford. They're going to be there with service after the sale. They have an award-winning service department. No frills. Not some big fancy showroom where you look around and you're like, wow, that couch cost more than my house. No wonder it costs so much to get my car fixed. No. It's just about good people who know what they're doing and know how to take care of you and your vehicle. That's what they'll do for you at Belk Ford and Oxford Toyota. How about the United Cajun Navy? How about Samaritan's Purse? How about 8 Days of Hope? How about all of the people? And I certainly don't want to exclude the local Mississippi-based businesses who, at a time when probably they are hurting a bit themselves because maybe they're not open related to the weather or their customer base can't get in, they have still said, hey, how can we help? It really has been impressive to see. I know Agricultural Commissioner Andy Gibson was in Oxford earlier this week. He brought a load of supplies. He has been working in conjunction with the United Cajun Navy. They brought in a massive amount of supplies. In fact, let's just kind of go through all of what's happening in terms of disaster response. When we visited with Representative Rodney Hall earlier this week, he talked about the need for an after-action report. And I think that's reasonable. Whether the disaster response at the state and federal level had been perfect or it had been its own disaster, an after-action report would have been needed, right? You need to sit down, evaluate how things went. Did you have what you need when you needed it? Did you have everything staged the way it should have been staged? Are there things you could have done better? Are there things that you want to eliminate from your processes? All of those things on the table for after-action discussions. But as Representative Hall, Vice Chairman Hall said, but right now we got to focus on getting out of this. And some of the response, if we're being honest, has taken a couple of days more than it needed to take. But here you are at the end of the week. There were some things that you had to allow happen. Like you had to get the roads safe for some of these aid items to be brought in. MEMA has received reports of 223 homes, 10 businesses, 7 farms, all damaged, destroyed, or affected. 20 public roads sustaining major damage, 50 sustaining minor damage, 12 destroyed. 2 bridges with minor damage. Those numbers all expected to rise. Currently under 100,000 power outages statewide. The peak of that number was 180,000. Department of Transportation was working yesterday and continues to clear problem areas on Interstate 55, 22, 69, 269, highways 302, 72, and 61. Emergency management crews are continuing to deploy personnel and resources to impacted counties based on prior requests. State Department of Health aiding in that effort with ambulances and workers going to Yellowbush County, ambulance and workers going to Tippah County, a medical needs shelter opening in Lafayette County to serve as an equipment and supplies hub. The National Guard, in collaboration with MEMA, is deploying generators, water, ready-to-eat meals, or MREs if you prefer, fuel, cots, and blankets. 5 National Guard trucks loaded with 66 pallets of meals, blankets, water, and cots have been delivered to Marshall, Bolivar, and Lafayette counties. National Guard is also using helicopters to deliver supplies. More than 70,000 pounds of goods being dropped off at impacted areas to date. An additional 150 Mississippi National Guard soldiers have been mobilized to assist the 500 that were initially deployed to aid in storm response efforts. That includes delivering supplies, supporting transportation crews, and clearing roads. A mission to help transport dialysis patients in Claiborne County. A Black Hawk helicopter from the Mississippi National Guard was used to medevac 2 people from Oxford to hospitals in Memphis. The Army Corps of Engineers is assisting as well in generator installation at infrastructure sites. This according to Governor Tate Reeves. A total of 45 generators installed so far, 6 in warming centers and shelters, 24 in water systems, 4 at water towers, 3 in personal care homes, 2 in assisted living facilities and long-term care homes, 5 in correctional facilities, and 1 at a fueling station. The generators have been delivered by FEMA, which is fulfilling the state's request of 90 generators, plus 128,000 bottles of water, 107,000 meals, almost 2,200 cots, 9,000 blankets, 3,400 tarps, and 3,200 medical-grade oxygen cylinders. FEMA is also sending 4 Starlink satellites to make sure that there is high-speed internet access in affected areas. The Mississippi Baptist Disaster Relief Organization is mobilizing volunteers for chainsaw operations. 8 Days of Hope is providing free meals through their mass feeding ministry. They're also deploying a rapid response team to help clean up. Samaritan's Purse and the Cajun Navy are already on the ground helping in impacted communities. If you want to help with Samaritan's Purse, you go to their website and you fill out the volunteer form. Same thing with United Cajun Navy, I think. And with 8 Days of Hope, there are opportunities for you to help, for you to volunteer, for you to assist. But these organizations, this is what they do, and it is extremely organized, far more organized than the chainsaw gangs. And by the way, I mean that in the best way possible, that were going neighborhood to neighborhood earlier in the week. That needed to happen in the immediate aftermath, and now you're to the point where some coordination and some organization really needs to happen. There's a lot of good that is going on right now. Perhaps it should have been a day or two sooner, but a lot of good happening in North Mississippi.
From theseabrook.com.
This segment of Mornings with Richard Cross is brought to you by Covington County Hospital in Collins, where your health matters.
Good morning, everybody. Time to wake up.
Time to shine! Start your day right. Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk, Mississippi.
There was a wealthy merchant in London who did dwell. He had a beautiful daughter.
Welcome again. It is is Mornings with Richard Cross, SuperTalk Mississippi. Always appreciate you joining us. We're presented by Community Bank. At Community Bank, we're here for every part of your financial journey. Looking to manage your personal finances, our banking services make it simple, secure, and tailored to you. Ready to grow your business? We offer expert guidance and custom solutions to help your business thrive. Dreaming of a new home? Our mortgage specialists are here to make the process seamless, all designed with you in mind. We're more than just a bank. We're your partner for life's biggest moments. Community Bank, rooted in our community, member FDIC, equal housing lender. Joining us right now, the Northern District Public Service Commissioner, Chris Brown. He is in the heart of the mess that many of us in the northern part of the state are dealing with. And Chris, as always, I appreciate your time. The Delta, Northwest Mississippi, North Central Mississippi, it all has been rough. It's been a hard week.
It has, all the way from Issaquena to Tishomingo. The impact zone was huge. I know a lot of people compare this to 94, the ice storm we had in 94, and it was devastating as well. This one feels the same. We're not going to we can compare afterwards, but right now it's amazing how much damage is done as you drive through the district, and the different kind of damage. You know, you get less ice in the southern part and in the western part, and then right in the center, you go through Carroll, Grenada, Yallowbush, and you get to Lafayette. Lafayette is devastated with ice and down trees, and all the way up through Benton and Tippa. The ice was pretty devastating. And then the further west you go, the less ice you had. The further east you go, the larger the impact from the frozen precipitation on trees. And I know you've already covered it, but those that aren't up in the northern part of the state, just picture an icicle on every single pine needle, on every single limb of the tree.
Yeah.
The icicle just continues to grow and get heavier and heavier and heavier, and that tree falls, and it's devastating.
It really is, when you look at it that way, and it has put a tremendous amount of strain on our utility companies, whether they are city utilities or they are co-ops or they are crews that have come in from other states, surrounding states, sister states to help, and in some cases not even sister states, from farther away from that. But the strain that has been put on those crews to try to restore power, and I guess there are multiple things. It's restore power, do it quickly, but also do it safely for both the consumer and the workers who are out in these bucket trucks, on these lines, directing traffic, pulling lines. There's a lot here.
There is. I don't know if you saw, one of the big impacts for the north were the TVA transmission lines coming in. Yeah. I think there were over 15 major transmission lines that went down. And I don't know if you saw the videos or pictures of the TVA linemen working from a helicopter.
So it was unbelievable. We talked about that yesterday. It was incredible.
Yes. And so it is that kind of effort and moxie, if you will, that these men, linemen and women are out there working extremely hard to make sure that everybody gets back up. That last TVA transmission line was completed, I think, 2 days ago now. So that allowed the local power companies to start energizing the substations and then working from the substations out to try to energize each home. And as you drive around up in the north and around the impacted areas, there'll be power lines down in the middle of a slough or a swamp. And I passed some yesterday and coming down Highway 7 in Marshall County, and the power lines are in the trees in a swamp covered with ice, and the road is covered in ice. How do you start that process?
And you look at that, Chris, you look at that and go, what am I supposed to do with that?
Well, there were 3 bucket trucks out there, and the linemen were working on the ones they could get to. But when you have a swamp, basically a slough covered in water and ice, roads ice, you can barely get down to it, and then you have to repair these power lines. You can't use a helicopter in that situation. These are secondary lines, not major transmission lines like TVA was working on with the helicopters. So it is a person, a human being, has to get in there, replace the pole, reattach all the wires until they go to the next one and the next one and the next one. and the impact zone is so huge that it's hard to believe. I live just south of Tupelo. You go to Tupelo and it's business as usual. Lee County, they were less impacted by ice and things, so it's business as usual. And then you go 30 miles north, and it's like a bomb dropped, and it's hard for us to understand sometimes in parts of the state that weren't impacted that a lot of our neighbors are suffering. No water, no food. We put out our contact info, and there's a church in Tippah County that we were working with to help get supplies to generators, to water systems to get water back on. We're able to help get generators to 3 or 4 water systems to restore water to over 1,500 homes. One story that was so compelling is we found one family that had a two-week-old child. 2 week. They didn't have water, gas, or electricity. And they were trying to keep the child warm in the car. So we would literally go outside, crank the car, sit out there, get warm, and go back inside. We had a good Samaritan call us because he knew we were looking for generators for water systems, and it was a smaller generator. Well, we told him about this couple. So he literally, out of his own pocket, went and set up the generator. We got the local gas company. Their pilots had went out, so they lit their pilots. And he literally paid for a hotel room for that family for 3 nights until that generator and everything gets set up.
Wow.
So there's acts of kindness like this all over the district. Other stories, a friend of mine's in Lafayette County, and her power was out. She had a generator and she had LP gas. So all of her neighbors, she was allowing them to come in her home and shower and get cleaned up. And she was feeding the linemen. She said, all I had was tuna salad. So I was fixing sandwiches and giving them to them. So that is replicated hundreds and thousands of times across the state. And there's good work from Samaritan's Purse and others. But everyday Mississippians are heroes too. I mean, we're hand in glove working to try to find needs and then to fill those needs everywhere we can.
I'm so glad that you said that. I was kind of being funny earlier because I was talking about Samaritan's Purse and 8 Days of Hope and the Cajun Navy, all of these entities coming in, and this is what they do. And so their efforts as they come in are very organized, they're very coordinated, and they're going to play a massive role. But the role of what I called them the chainsaw gangs that were happening in neighborhoods where it was just, there was a text message or a group me or a knock on a door and a knock on another door. And all of a sudden you look up and you got 8 guys and 4 side-by-sides and 2 4-wheelers and some tow straps and chainsaws. And, half a day later, everybody in a neighborhood can get out of their driveway. Now, they may not be able to go anywhere after that, but when they are able, they can at least now get out of their driveway. And it was almost like that was the triage that we needed immediately before we could get to the more serious operations of what had to happen.
Yes, sir. And everybody pitches in. I was early on the first day I was driving through, and I would run across the roadblock, and then there were people out there running chainsaws. So what did me and everybody else in line do? We all got out of our trucks. We all went and helped cut the trees. We all helped them get out of the road. And we did that over and over and over again. And it's just what we do. And, there was a video, I'm sure you covered it, to where Chick-fil-A donated sandwiches, and some Mississippians were riding their 4-wheelers down I-55, providing Chick-fil-A sandwiches and water to people trapped on that road. So it makes you proud to be a Mississippian.
Yeah.
To know that our neighbors are suffering, and then we literally are trying to get a lifeline to them. Yeah. And if there's a need, I know Mississippians will answer the call. And I just want to remind the listeners that there's still a huge need in the impacted areas.
There's a lot that falls under public service. We've talked about the utilities, the power line workers. What about gas, communications, especially on the fiber side and the internet side? What are you hearing? What are you seeing?
That's kind of secondary. If you don't have power, the fiber's not worth much at that point. But anything on a pole is damaged. Like I said, I drove through Tippah, Benton, those are the hardest hit in the very north, but then you go south and the Delta's been hit hard as well. So when you have whole power poles just snapped and down on the ground, it's impacted everything. And the linemen are getting those assets back on. There's gas systems being restored every day. Thank the Lord we had warmer temperatures yesterday and day before. We're starting to get colder again now. So it's going to be touch and go for a while still.
We are making progress, and thank God for that. Northern District Public Service Commissioner Chris Brown, always appreciate your time. Good catching up, and hopefully next time it's under some better circumstances.
Yeah, and I know Hot Springs Utility District is having a rough time too. So obviously they're not reporting on the outage map. I was talking to them, but there's help everywhere. Thank y'all so much, and pray for your.
Start your day right.
Good morning, America. How are you?
Honestly, I have no idea.
Mornings with Richard Cross on Super Talk, Mississippi.
Back with you. We appreciate you joining us. Mornings with Richard Cross, Super Talk, Mississippi. We have more guests this morning and really throughout this week than we normally have. And I want to say thank you to all of our guests on twofold. One, for being willing to come on and visit and help us get the information out that we need. But two, some of our guests this week have been proactive and have reached out to us and say, hey, can you help us get this message out? Can I jump on with you and let people know what's going on? And the answer has been yes, over and over and over. And one of those happened this morning. Philip Chamblee let Lance know that he was available for an update on gas and gas stations if we had time. And so we're thankful that Philip, who was on with us last week, I believe, was able to do it. He's with the Mississippi Petroleum Marketers Association. And Philip, what update can you give us? We know that right now the demand for gas is high, but it's not just in terms of filling up cars. If you pull up to a gas station, I know in Oxford where I live, almost every vehicle is pulling out multiple gas cans to fill up so that they can also keep generators running.
Right, and you're correct. And good morning, Richard. Thanks for having me on. And I also represent the Mississippi Propane Gas Association. And, you know, the first thing I want the public to know, there is no shortage or supply issues with propane, gasoline, or diesel fuel.
Outstanding.
The issue was transportation, trying to get it safely.
Yeah.
Okay. And so ahead of the storm, the propane people and the petroleum people worked around the clock, get everything loaded that they could. You know, and we're still in situations where in areas where the road conditions remain hazardous, the deliveries will resume as soon as it's safe to do so. You know, the safety of the employees of the propane and petroleum industry and the public remains our highest priority. So we're asking everybody to be patient, you know, as they're trying to get to everything. The issue you have, like both gasoline and propane, is till the roads get safe, they can't put those trucks on the road. Okay.
Okay.
And the other issue you have is people need to remember the employees of these companies are in the same shape they are. A lot of them can't get out of their driveway or get to work because of the ice and roads and hazards, but they are doing everything they can to ensure that they can get the product, you know, to the customer. We have been working closely with the governor's office. We've also been working closely with MEMA throughout this whole time. And I just want everyone to know that we, as an industry, we're doing our best to supply their needs. Just be patient as we try to get everything back online.
I'm curious, is the way you're seeing this play out, not all the gas stations, not all the service stations are getting gas at one time. And so is it a delivery is coming in, a gas station's pumps are getting filled up, all the customers kind of flock to that station and drain the reserves, and then it's the next station that was kind of in line for a shipment? Is that the way that it's playing out?
A lot of times that's what happens, Richard. You know, people get on social media and say, hey, Station A has just got a load of fuel. Everybody goes there and loads them up and buys all the fuel, you know. And so that does play into it. I would just ask the public to be, you know, judicious, purchase what they need, not everything. Be very careful when they're filling up their gas cans and everything. Be very careful transporting the fuel. And again, as the roads thaw, the trucks will be hitting the roads and playing catch up, for lack of better word.
Phil, let me ask you this. I'm assuming that most gas stations have a normal delivery schedule, right? Maybe 2 times a week, maybe once a week, maybe, 3 or 4 times a week. In a time like this where gas is going faster, once the roads are available, are stations able to adjust their schedule to get fuel more often, or do they have to stay on their standard delivery schedule?
No, their fuel distributor will work with the adjusted schedule and get the fuel where it's needed.
Okay. And are most of those distributors, they have the capacity to be able to get more trucks on the road, or is that we're doing the best we can?
They've got the trucks. I mean, they have their own trucks. They've got common carriers they use. And there again, it's just a situation of transportation issues.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. Trying to, make sure the roads are safe, and then they can roll.
And then kind of going back to where you started, kind of the same deal with propane, right? So you've got distributors that are having to get to the retail points either to get bottles or to fill tanks?
Right, or to people's home at the end user. People who heat their homes with propane, they have propane generators. And there again, they worked hard to get everybody taken care of before the storm. And then, this thing has went on so long with the icy roads and everything. Now they're out trying to catch up on all their calls and get everybody refueled, but they just need to be patient because everybody's got the same problem.
Yeah. Well, hopefully today is a day that the roads are better and the temperatures are such that people can get out, because we got this another really cold weekend on the way. Philip, I appreciate you jumping on short notice. Great to catch up, and thanks for the information.
Thank you, Richard. And I just want people to know the Mississippi Petroleum markets, propane people in the state are working their hardest to take care of their customers in a safe and efficient manner.
Outstanding. I appreciate that. As are the workers at the stations themselves. I mean, I have seen some of the same people at some of the same stations over and over, day after day, putting in a lot of hours. I think there are a lot of people that are working really hard right now. Everybody trying to pull their own weight and then maybe help somebody else a little bit too. 8 o'clock hour on the way. The news is next. It's Mornings with Richard Cross, Super Talk, Mississippi. Scott Simmons from MEMA will start things off in the 8 o'clock hour.
Good morning to you there.
Okay, up and at 'em. Start your day right. Mornings with Richard Cross on Super Talk, Mississippi.
Friday morning with you. Today is January 30th, 2026. This is Mornings with Richard Cross, presented by Community Bank, rooted in our community, member FDIC, communitybank.net. We will continue the conversation this morning with you on the C Spire text line at 601-879-4395. 601-879-4395. C Spire, customer inspired. Happy to welcome Scott Simmons. He's the Chief Communications Officer at the Mississippi Emergency Management Agency. A whole lot easier to just say MEMA. What a week it has been. Scott, good morning.
Good morning, Richard. It's been a bear, but a bear for those folks in North Mississippi right now. We feel so much for them. It's been rough, I tell you what. But we're getting there. We're making progress.
Yeah, progress made. And let's start out by talking about timeline. When a disaster happens, especially a disaster that takes away power for so many people, man, we want supplies and we want help and we want aid and we want it right now. And the reality is sometimes it takes a little longer than right now. Is a couple of days kind of the ramp-up period to really get everything mobilized?
To get it mobilized, let's back up. So, like, say an event that we knew was coming, right? We started talking about this thing a week out.
Yeah.
We started getting requests for what we call web EOC, several days before this ice storm. And so because you make that formal request to the online portal, we're able to ship out what we have. We pre-positioned generators at Parchman, Delta Correctional, a long-term care facility, a couple of water treatment facilities. MDOT starts pre-treating roads, moving materials into its location. It's always a buildup. We have an advantage to what we think is coming. MDOT, for example, put the largest amount of pre-treatment out on the roads it's ever done, some 200,000 gallons of brine and pre-treatment. There's so many pieces you start moving, but you just never know what you're going to get until it arrives.
Yeah.
And I think that's what a lot of people up north, a lot of these counties found with this storm. The meteorologist got it right in where it was going to hit. The ferocity, I think, took everyone back when you talk about that much ice.
We were going about half an hour ago, kind of going through the things that the governor talked about yesterday in terms of these are all the things. Did we reach the point where we kind of got to a whole of government approach where MEMA plays a role, the National Guard plays a role, FEMA is playing a role, and like all of these resources are thrown at it? It's not just, oh, this is MEMA's job to go fix this.
No, it's all hands on deck approach. And what really helped in this response was the president's emergency declaration, what the governor requested. By the governor requesting this emergency declaration or emergency response declaration, emergency measures, it helped us move even more materials from FEMA that has pretty much unlimited resources into this fray. It is an all hands on deck, because MDOT is in charge of clearing the roads. A Herculean task when you talk about that much ice. Public safety, patrol, response. You got all these individual counties and the emergency management agencies in those counties. Those are always the tip of the spear. And MEMA managing and moving those facilities, those resources into those facilities. So yeah, it's been all hands on deck. And when you talk about a storm of this magnitude, if we'd have been talking about one or two counties, a much smaller problem, right? But we're not. We're talking about 40-something counties.
Say half
that
the
are
state.
Still dealing with, it is. And you look at the corner, it's like take a knife and you go up from the northwest to east corner of the state, and those are the ones that are still dealing with the impacts.
When you go from Issaquah County to Tishomingo County at kind of a diagonal across there, it is a
right.
large amount of real estate. I'm curious, one of the things that was in the report from the governor yesterday that he talked about was the use of Mississippi National Guard helicopters to transport supplies. We know that we had an issue with roads and being able to get trucks on the roads earlier in the week just because they were too icy and it was too dangerous. Is that something that in the future you might look to use earlier to get supplies into place, just immediately get those aircraft going?
Well, that's the governor's call when it comes to utilizing the National Guard and those Chinook helicopters. We had stuff on the roads. A couple of days ago, we had a truck slow rolling through the ice, getting to Oxford. No small job. You're in Oxford. Yeah. My buddy, he drove up through there, one of those guys who got on the road who was not supposed to. But even he admitted that he had an F-250, but that was no small feat. Even though once you hit Highway 6, it was a little kinder drive, but it wasn't easy 3 days ago getting on the roads, 2 days ago. But we would like to move as many materials as we can safely, but it's just not smart putting the 18-wheeler of supplies on a road that's really supposed to be just for emergencies, and that's why we had a lot of log jams on I-55. Those roads were supposed to be used for emergency use only, and you had people getting on the roads and truck drivers going around that one lane, and then they jackknife and they shut everything down. And so with us, sure, everything's going to be analyzed and reanalyzed. But, flying Chinooks is no easy feat because you got to go offload. You got to be able to get them to a location where you can land, say the Oxford airport. Then you got to get them offloaded on the trucks, moving through the icy land of Oxford to a spot. There's a lot of logistics that go into that. But yeah. I'm certain, and I think the governor has alluded to, Matt McCready has alluded to, you're always looking at a situation and analyzing what you could do better the next time this happens.
Yeah, there's no question. And the biggest thing is getting people what they need as quickly as you can and as safely as you can. I'm curious what role MEMA plays with some of these organizations that are coming in from outside the state. And just like with MEMA or the National Guard or whatever, it takes a little bit to mobilize, where you see Samaritan's Purse or 8 Days of Hope or the Cajun Navy coming in. These are not, I feel bad using this phrase, they're not state-sponsored entities that are coming in, or rather private organizations, that this is kind of what they do, and it's a really important role.
It's a massively important role. You'll be hard-pressed to find a bigger fan of the Agent Navy and Samaritan's Purse than this one right here.
Yeah.
As my role as a reporter, watching what they do and the job they tackle just out of generosity. We have warehouses that have blankets and cots and water and MREs, but we don't have a Walmart warehouse city with commodities like that. And one of the advantages of the President's Emergency Measures Declaration was it got to move even more product into the area. But again, the biggest challenge of this event has been the logistics of an icy road, getting trucks to them. I'm grateful, and we'll see faster response now from some of these volunteer agencies setting up into those areas of need because of accessibility improving.
Yeah. And then we get another cold blast this weekend. I mean, we're with you right now. We're kind of discussing the aid that has to go to people and to communities. But then the other piece of this, or maybe one of the other legs of this stool, is what the utility companies are doing and all of the outside. I mean, logistics was your point a second ago. All of these co-ops and city providers have this massive amount of logistics that they're going through in terms of dispatching not only their crews, but in some cases 6, 7, 8 organizations from other states that have come in to help as well.
You talk about the thousands of miles of electrical line that are involved in some of these co-ops. When you get that much ice on a line, it not only pops the line, but sometimes the branches that come down on them. That's been the challenge through this whole process in their recovery aspects. Each county and their electrical co-op in the area still getting the lines repaired. The linemen that have come in have been doing an incredible job of working through very desperate situations to repair those lines. And it's that cascading effect.
Yeah.
Once we get more power set up, back on flow, people are able to get the commodities they need in their homes and up and running. So, this is not going to be a several-day challenge. And with this weekend's cold blast coming in, that's the thing that we fear. Not that we're getting precipitation, but whatever's on the ground, whatever's frozen, it's going to stay frozen through the weekend. So that's why they're literally have been racing these past couple of days, trying to clear as many rows and do as much logistics work as possible before it gets a little dicey.
Scott Simmons, Chief Communications Officer at MEMA, just for a couple of minutes left, or about a minute and a half left. You've covered tornadoes. You have covered hurricanes. We've got the ice storm now. Maybe comparing is silly, and it doesn't matter, but what does this compare to? I mean, is this North Mississippi's version of a hurricane?
I would compare it to a Rolling Fork type of situation, only in a vast area. Remember, Rolling Fork was a 4, right? Massive tornado.
Right.
But it hit that swath of area. We're talking about 40-plus counties that have been hit by one area. It falls almost into hurricane value in the effect of the number of people and the amount of area hit. And I've covered, I was joking about the other day, gosh, maybe covered Hurricane Andrew. That's how old I am.
South Florida.
Having seen so many hurricanes, small and large, this one would fall into a hurricane proportion, I think, when you talk about the number of people and the area that's been hit. It's tragic. It's just simply tragic, and it's what we train to do, and we continue to work on as we speak. Right now, I showed up to work, and I was amazed always at seeing the people that are already boots on the ground working here at MEMA, moving the next shipments out.
Scott, we're out of time. I appreciate your time and your work, and keep it up. All the best to the good people at MEMA. Thanks so much.
Thanks a lot, Richard.
Wake up! Rise and shine!
Start your day right. Mornings with Richard Cross.
Nice early morning surprise.
On Super Talk, Mississippi.
Ain't exactly clear. There's a man with a gun over there telling me I got to beware. I think it's time we stop. Children, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down. Thanks for being with us on this Friday morning. Little while, about 45 minutes left with you. It's Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk Mississippi, streaming at supertalk.fm, SuperTalk TV,
And, of course, on your SuperTalk Mississippi radio stations, thank you for your patience this week as some of the radio stations that you normally listen to have been in and out. They've been off. They've been on. Maybe they were completely down for a couple of days and have now returned. We would love to be able to control Mother Nature. Can't do it. And a combination of ice on satellites and power that was down has made it a challenging week for Houston and for Gary and for our entire engineering team. So big thanks to those guys within our organization for making it the best they can. Don't forget, if you have a signal issue with your local SuperTalk radio station, you can download the SuperTalk Mississippi app. It is free in the Apple App Store or in Google Play, and you can listen live. And if one station happens to not be working for you, you can choose a different station within our network to listen live to the local broadcast there as well. That's the SuperTalk app that is free in the App Store and in Google Play. Lance, oh, how the turntables. Did you see that Don Lemon has been arrested?
Uh-oh.
The AP writes it this way. Journalist, well, see, they are one word in. This is the problem with the Associated Press. They are one word in. Literally, the first word of the story is inaccurate. How do you want people to trust you? It should read, activist Don Lemon. Instead, it says journalist Don Lemon. All right, so activist Don Lemon was arrested in connection with an anti-immigration protest that disrupted a service at a Minnesota church and increased tensions between residents and the Trump administration, his lawyer said this morning. Lemon, or Lemon, if you prefer, was arrested by federal agents in Los Angeles, where he had been covering the Grammy Awards, according to his attorney, Abby Lowell. Unclear what charge or charges Lemon, or Lemon, if you prefer, is facing in the January 18th protest. The arrest came after a magistrate judge last week rejected prosecutors' initial bid to charge the journalist. Lemon, or Lemon, was fired from CNN in 2023, said he has no affiliation to the organization that went into the church, and that he was there as a journalist, activist, chronicling the protesters. Parenthetically, the AP does not write this, he just happened to be in Minneapolis, and he just happened to be in the area where this protest organization was getting ready to raid a church while in service on Sunday morning. Simply there is a journalist chronicling the protesters. Didn't come in specifically because this protest organization wanted the media coverage that someone like Don Lemon would give them. Just a complete coincidence. More from Lowell, Lemon's lawyer. Don has been a journalist for 30 years, and his constitutionally protected work in Minneapolis was no different than what he has always done. The First Amendment exists to protect journalists whose role it is to shine light on the truth and hold those in power accountable. She added that Don will fight these charges vigorously and thoroughly in court. I'm going to be honest with you. I think the DOJ's got a really difficult case here. We can take glee in the embarrassment that should exist but won't exist for Don Lemon. No, he'll be a martyr for the left. Look, just covering the news, and have been taken into custody, taken away in handcuffs, all about getting truth to the people. Nope. See, this is where I differ than some who are on the radio. We can have fun about that, but now let's talk about it for real for a second. Here's the deal. The whole thing is performative. All of it. All of it. Now, the actual leaders of the protest, the organizers of the protest, I do think you can potentially hang some civil rights charges on them for trampling on the rights of free speech and freedom to worship that those in that Minneapolis church, City's Church in St. Paul had. I think you got a case there. I don't know how you're going to pin this on Don Lemon, though. And here's what I mean where the whole thing is performative. Don Lemon going to cover this to amplify it. It's about him. It's about what he believes in. It's about his belief of the left's causes and his hate for Donald Trump and all things related to the Trump administration. He doesn't really care about the protesters, and he certainly doesn't care about the rights of those who were in the church. It's all a game. It's all performative. What about on the other side when I say it's all performative? The Department of Justice acted swiftly to bring down charges and make arrests as it pertains to this intrusion on First Amendment rights, freedom of speech, freedom of religion. But they did it for show. Pam Bondi and the DOJ do not have a great case against Don Lemon. We don't even know what charges he's arrested on. It's like, just arrest him, get the pictures, let's be able to tell everybody, hey, look, we arrested Don Lemon. What good is an arrest if you can't get a conviction? And when you have I suppose it all depends on the judge. If you had a local judge that said, no, there's not enough to arrest him, and they went to a different judge, they got a friendly judge, they got the ruling they wanted, they go and they arrest him. But it's all performative. And it's all because the people in power on the left and on the right think you and I and we are stupid. They all think that. Don Lemon, I can blah, 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 and I can fool all these people out there because they're idiots. In a lot of cases, Trump administration, DOJ, Pam Bondi, we can go arrest Don Lemon and make a big show of it, and we can flex our muscles and show how tough we are, and they're going to eat it up. They'll take the bait, hook, line, and sinker. Why? Because they're stupid. Here's an idea. Let's all use our brains. Let's not be stupid. Let's call it what it is, a joke. Don Lemon, the protesters, the organizers, a joke that cared nothing about advancing what is good for them. On this particular issue, the DOJ, under the leadership of Pam Bondi, is a joke. They're not going to put Don Lemon in jail. I don't even know if they can put those organizers in jail. But they think they can get a PR win. They think you're going to smile because they think you're an idiot. No, let's call them on that. How about that? How about that for a change? Let's stand up and say, you know what? I voted for you. I support you. You're actually doing what I want you to do for the most part. President Trump, Republicans. But stop making me to be the fool because you think it's going to make you look better and you think it's going to make me believe you are doing exactly what I elected you to do. Because frankly, you're not doing a lot of what I elected you to do. Certainly not in Congress. You're not passing anything in Congress. Not that has the teeth in it that allows it to stick. Got a bunch of executive orders. Donald Trump's actually doing more of what he was elected to do than anybody in Congress is doing, right or left. And especially with the Republicans in charge, because they would rather fight with each other and talk about how we're the party of ideas than actually getting anything done. We're back with you right after this.
From the Seabrook
Super Talk, Mississippi.
Ladies and gentlemen,
here we go. Now back to Mornings with Richard Cross.
Now that's entertainment.
Don't worry, baby. Just call my name. I'll be there in a hurry. You don't have to worry, 'cause baby, there ain't no mountain high.
Good to be with you this morning. It is Mornings with Richard Cross on Super Talk, Mississippi. Thanks so much for being with us. You can join the conversation on the C Spire text line. 601-879-4395 is the number if you would like to join. We've talked so much about storm recovery this morning, about what the utility workers are doing, about what neighbors are doing to help each other, about the National Guard, the Mississippi Emergency Management Agency, FEMA, and on and on and on. But in the last couple of days, there is a new development. That's national organizations who have come in, and there may not be a bigger national organization that helps in terms of disaster relief than Samaritan's Purse, Franklin Graham's organization. And Jami Keoshian joins us now. She is a program manager for Samaritan's Purse. Jami, thank you so much for your time this morning. Tell us about what's going on as Samaritan's Purse is coming to North Mississippi, is setting up a headquarters in Oxford to begin operations.
Good morning. Thank you, Richard, for having me on. Yes, Samaritan's Purse team came in to assess Tuesday evening, and as we arrived, it was a lot of snow and ice, and that ice is dangerous for these homeowners to be out in, and they've lost power, they've lost their water, and Samaritan's Purse is here as an international Christian organization that helps both in man-made and natural disasters around the world in the time of crisis. And we want to help this community of Oxford and the whole Lafayette County here to support them and come alongside of them in this disaster.
What is the threshold when Samaritan's Purse comes in to evaluate a disaster? I mean, it was abundantly clear with the flooding in North Carolina a year ago. I mean, you looked at just the massive devastation was there, and that was also right in Samaritan's Purse backyard. But when you have to go out and evaluate, hey, is this somewhere where we need to go on site and provide disaster relief? What is that threshold?
Yes, we're looking to see what the damage is. Is it something the homeowner is going to be able to take care of themselves? What the population is as far as the demographics? Is it what age as far as the elderly? Are they going to be able to do this themselves? And then also the community needs. Will the community be able to take care of this, or do they need an organization come in and come alongside of them to help? And so we decided, the organization decided that there was a need there for Samaritan's Purse, and we want to be that hands and feet of Jesus in this community.
I was talking with Scott Simmons, who is the media relations coordinator with MEMA, with the Mississippi Emergency Management Association, and I asked him about MEMA working in conjunction or even side by side with an organization like Samaritan's Purse, and he quickly said, "You're going to be hard pressed to find a bigger fan than I am of Samaritan's Purse and the work they do." What does that working relationship look like with a state agency or a federal agency like FEMA, so that you're not stepping on each other and duplicating services, but that you're getting the greatest impact with what you're doing and kind of complementing what they're able to do?
Yes, we let those organizations, those government organizations, do those things what they do best. And then we come alongside that community and the homeowner and do what we do best, which is loving on that homeowner and coming right alongside of them through this disaster and helping them get back up on their feet as far as getting things cleared up from the storm damage.
You know, there are a lot of people that are familiar with Samaritan's Purse for a number of reasons, but the massive global project of Operation Christmas Child, I think, has made a lot of people aware of what Samaritan's Purse does, and it's also made people trust the organization. Talk to me about what it looks like in terms of volunteers coming in, because I was kind of going through the volunteer form last night and looking at it, and there are a couple of options, right? There's the local option for people who live in the area that is affected coming in and helping, but you also have volunteers that come in from other parts of the region, other parts of the country to help for an extended period of time. What does that look like?
Sure. We have a massive amount of volunteers eager to go out and help in these disasters. We're setting up actually 3 deployments because of the winter storm Fern, and volunteers will come from all over to be housed at the church that we're partnering with. They will come to serve the community that we're at, to be able to love on those homeowners. But the volunteers, they come from all over to want to serve in Jesus' name. But also the community can come in and volunteer as well. And like you said, go to the website at spvolunteer.org. You can be a day volunteer if you're local. And then again, we have those overnight people that will come in and stay with us to help this community because of the need that there is. No skills are needed, no tools. We'll do a volunteer orientation here at the church, which is Christ Presbyterian Church in Oxford, and we'll send you out into the community with a trained team leader to be able to direct and help keep things organized out in the community.
So what are these activities going to look like? I mean, is this heavy equipment stuff with chainsaws? Is it going in and repairing homes? What are some of or maybe kind of what's the array of activity that we're going to see?
Sure. We go in and help with clearing the tree debris from the yard. We'll rake what's needed, but we also do chainsaw work, cutting the trees that already are down. Then we also help get trees off the homes and put on a temporary roof tarping for the homeowner. We want to be there, the hands and feet of Jesus, to be alongside of that homeowner to help them get to the next step.
Visiting with Jami Keoshian, and forgive me if I mispronounced your name, with Samaritan's Purse. You're welcome to correct me if I mispronounced that.
It's Keoshian. You did very good.
Okay, I was at least close. In terms of number of volunteers, how many do you need, and what do you expect for this particular operation?
We can have a combined number of 100 volunteers. To have a great volunteer experience, we've put a cap on to have 100 people come and serve, and I believe we'll have that almost every day out into the community.
All right, and if people want to volunteer, you mentioned the website, spvolunteer.org. You can get there through the Samaritan's Purse website, SamaritansPurse.org as well. You have to sign up and fill out the form in advance. You can't just show up and say, hey, I'm here to help, right?
That's correct. Please go to the website. There's lots of details there, but no tools, no skills necessary. We're happy to help train you. And just come out, get involved, and be ready to serve the community.
What is the time frame, Jami, for this? How long do you anticipate that this operation will last?
We're still looking over those details. We'll be here at least through February 7th, but we're looking to see how big of a scope this winter storm took on this community, and we'll expand our scope if needed. We'll be here until the needs are met.
And then as we wrap things up, I said earlier this morning, when Samaritan's Purse comes in, they don't kind of come in. I mean, it is a full-on organized operation. In terms of what Samaritan's Purse has brought in, kind of for the base camp, and then to be able to spread out from there, are we talking 18-wheelers full of supplies, trucks full of supplies? What does that look like? How does that play out?
We have a great big disaster relief unit coming in the next 15 minutes here to the church. It's full of tools and supplies and things for our teams to use in the community. We also have 5 box trucks that you'll see around the community that also have chainsaws, the equipment that Torrance needed, and hand tools to use out there in the community for our volunteers.
Is there anything else that volunteers need to know before they go to the website to sign up and say, hey, I want to be part of this organization?
We would love for them to come out and, again, go to the website. We're having our first orientation at 12:30 at Christ Presbyterian Church today. But we would also love for you and the community to be praying for our homeowners, for our volunteers, and for those that need assistance. We would love for you to call. Our phone number is 833-747-1234.
And then very last thing for you as we wrap up, is this limited to the Oxford community, or are you going to spread out beyond just Oxford into some of the other areas in North Mississippi that have been affected?
At this current time, we're going to go into the whole county of Lafayette County. We are looking and assessing other areas beyond this county.
Jami, thank you so much for your time this morning. God bless you and all of the team with Samaritan's Purse that's coming in to try to help in the wake of this winter storm. And we wish you safety and much success. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Richard.
Good visiting with you. Jami Keoshian with Samaritan's Purse. She is a program manager. She's running the show and trying to get everybody logistically where they are supposed to be.
From the
It's time to switch on. Mornings with Richard Cross. On SuperTalk, Mississippi.
Yeah!
You got a fast car, and I got a plan to get us out of here. Been working at the convenience store. Managed to save just a little bit of money. Won't have to drive too far. Just to cross the border and into the city. And you and I can both get jobs. Finally see what it means to be living.
What a week it's been. A lot of folks across our home state of Mississippi that are hurting right now. But a lot of inspiration as well this week as we look and we see friends and neighbors coming together to help each other. And one of the things, Lance, that I've seen, there was a rush on Thursday and Friday last week to buy generators, and people that could get them, that could afford them, were lining up at hardware stores, local hardware stores, big box stores, driving a county over, driving to other states to try and get them. And as the power started coming back on, it kind of turned into like an informal swap shop, but without any money changing hands. And it was people saying, hey, my power's back on. Who needs a generator? Mm-hmm. Let me come get it set up for you. And it really has been, if you can get past the frustration, and in some cases the pain, of not having power or not having water, and you can look just beyond that, man, you can find some really, really uplifting stories of people coming together to just take care of each other in a time of need.
I think Chris Brown said it best. It's all of them, all the heroes.
Yes.
It's just Mississippi in general, the people that have been affected, those that are lifting a hand to those that in need, and everyone in between, the providers of service, first responders, MEMA, MDOT, everyone, you're heroes, folks. And it's been an honor for me to be sitting here in this chair for this last week. I know you're going through a lot of pain and progress is slow, but we're here for you. Please share your stories. Please let us know how it's going, because it matters to us. You're our family. And when you hurt, we hurt.
Yeah. And maybe to add to that, I don't know that we can answer every call, but if there's a need that you see in your community, regardless of where you live in Mississippi, reach out to us. Reach out on the C Spire text line, 601-879-4395. Send an email to SuperTalk, and we'll make sure that we try to amplify those messages of need, whether it's getting that information to Samaritan's Purse or the people with the Cajun Navy or with 8 Days of Hope or some of the other local organizations, churches, neighborhood groups that are coming together and trying to help each other. We'll do everything we can to make sure that those messages get out, get to the people who need them, so that we can deliver help. It certainly is needed. It certainly is important, and it really is making a difference. It really is. It's been a tough week, as I said just a moment ago, and it's going to be difficult going forward. That's the thing about disasters that happen. When they affect you directly, they linger. But when the effect to you is indirect or is distant, you focus on it a lot for a really short period of time, and then you just kind of move on with your life. And I think all of us can probably raise our hand. I certainly can myself. I'm not going to speak for anybody else and say I'm guilty of that. You want to go back to the tornado in Rolling Fork or in Smith County. In the immediate aftermath, we were all hyper-focused on those events and the needs that existed. And then after a few days, we kind of moved on to what was next. But the luxury of moving on doesn't exist for a lot of the people that have been affected by this ice damage. You've got people that have medical needs, whether it's ventilators or oxygen tanks or dialysis machines at home, or things that they've got to have power so that they can stay alive, or that they can get the things that they need. A lot of that is going to last for a long time. And so I hope that you will continue to be mindful of those that are in need, that you'll be prayerful for those who are in need, that they're getting the resources they need, the supplies they need, the help that they need. And if you've got the opportunity to help, I hope you'll take advantage of that. You may very well find that you end up getting a whole lot more out of it than even the people you're helping. And we'll leave you on that note on this Friday morning. I appreciate very much all of the interaction on the C Spire text line. I appreciate all of the efforts from all of the organizations, from our first responders to our utility companies, police force, the people who are making sure that gas gets where it's supposed to go, the people that are getting out of their tough situations to open gas stations and open restaurants and serve customers, and anything else that I'm not mentioning, because there are so many people that need to be thanked and need to be recognized for the work that they're doing. We salute you. Thanks for being with us. We're back with you on Monday morning just after 6 o'clock. For Lance Tolbert, I'm Richard Cross. This is Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk Mississippi. We hope you have a safe weekend. It's going to be cold. Do your best to stay warm and take care of your friends and neighbors. Have a great day.
A SuperTalk Mississippi media production.